through my Audi R8. So I was able to pick up an allocation to order a 2022 R8. So I had the opportunity from scratch to spec it exactly how I wanted. With this being the last year of the R8 with the V10, it was certainly appealing to me. I've had a couple of R8s in the past, a 14 V8, loved it. I had an 18 RWS with a V10, loved it. And it's a car that I want to have and keep long term. So having the ability to spec it new being the last year. And then in 22, they offered some unique options that I'll talk about as well. So let's jump in. So the first decision is, you see they're both V10 Performance, but the big kicker is RWD versus Quattro. Quattro is Audi's all-wheel drive platform. RWD simply means rear drive only. With the RWD, you have less horsepower and less standard equipment. However, a lower price point, and the front end is a bit lighter with a little more steering feel than with the Quattro. The Quattro picks up more horsepower and feels a bit more buttoned down as you're driving. And you really need that to be able to put down the extra power, get the better 0 to 60 times. You see some options that are standard on the Quattro Performance, like ceramic brakes, extra carbon fiber, things that you have to pay for are extra options on the RWD. For me and for my needs, I went with the RWD. Number one, the lower price point certainly is significant. Number two, I had rear drive Audi V10 R8 in the past and was very pleased with it. And also the lively steering. They both have fixed suspension, which is important to me. Not a fan of the magnetic ride. I found that in comfort, it's a little floaty, and then in sport, it's extremely firm. And Audi did a really nice job on both of these cars with, call it their sport suspension, which what that means is there's no ability to switch modes. The suspension is always in the same mode, which is standard or fixed. It's slightly firmer than the mag ride. However, again, it gives a really sporting button down feel to the car. Really enjoyed that. Okay, so next, in exterior colors, everyone's going to have their own opinion on this. I certainly have an R8 in mind that I want to get to. I'll show you that, my inspiration R8, if you will. I'll show that at the end and what that's going to look like. But why don't we start with color? I could spend an hour just talking about pros and cons. I had Daytona Gray in my previous R8. Overall, I really liked it. However, just not quite as aggressive as I'm looking for. Yellow can certainly stand out if that's what you're looking for. The other option I considered is Suzuka Gray. Very cool, unique color. It's not quite as bright as white. It has kind of that chalk look to it that's popular with Porsches. But for me, I settled in on Mythos Black. And the reason is I certainly want my R8 to look aggressive supercar. Next, with the wheels, I am not a fan of these stock wheels at all. I much prefer the previous R8 wheels, the 20-inch wheels that I had in anthracite or black. They looked fantastic on the car. They were overall pretty aggressive. Not as aggressive as some of the aftermarket options, but looked like an exotic or a supercar. These wheels, to be polite, I just don't think they belong on an R8 at all. Makes the car look a little more pedestrian, a little more normal, and not quite the look I'm going for. So I already have a set of Brixton wheels on order that I'll show you what those look like. So good thing I'll be able to swap those out. Next, on the interior, I've seen a lot of Audi R8s with black interior. To me, there's just a lot of black plastic, a lot of black trim, and for a supercar, I wanted something with a bit more pop. I had expressed red on my 18 RWS against Daytona Gray, and it looked really good. I like how Audi does the red in the interior. It's the seat front, the leather. The back is still black. The console itself has some red, some black. The dashboard is still black, so it provides a really nice contrast. As an option, I did spec the diamond trim seats, which obviously provide the diamond trim on the seats themselves, and also the diamond stitch pattern on the headliner, and the full leather in the interior is leather as well. So everything you touch is going to be leather. So to me, makes the car feel more upscale with the overall look and feel. In terms of options, the sport exhaust package is a must. It was part of the reason that pushed me to order a 22. So on the rear drive cars, this is the first and only year you'll be able to get a sport exhaust stock on the car, number one. Number two, the steering wheel with 4 satellite buttons, and what that means is there's 2 standard buttons. These 2 extra buttons, one is for performance mode, which was unique on the Plus and the Performance before. So it kind of opens up the engine, the RPM, and a bit better throttle response. So that's pretty cool to have. On the exhaust side, it gives you the louder exhaust and a button on the steering wheel to open up the exhaust flap. So you can manually override and keep the exhaust open. That's huge for me. I had that on my previous cars via aftermarket, so it's nice to have that stock. And then lastly, really important to me is having the exhaust tips in black. I'm not a fan to have any chrome or silver on the car. As you see in this picture, like the badges, for example, those will be gloss black on the car. So I really like, not that I'm going after an all blacked out look, but just to me, chrome or silver doesn't really belong on an R8. Just not a fan of how it looks. So that's a must have. And as I mentioned, that's unique to 2022 for the RWD. So this will be the only year that you'd be able to order that particular package on a rear drive R8, and being the last year of the V10, definitely a no-brainer. Carbon exterior package, I skipped that. Those are both things I can accomplish myself aftermarket if I choose. I can purchase the side blades, and even install it myself. And the carbon engine bay, sure, I'd like to have it, but it's really not a deal breaker or something I would, spend the money on. With the blades, I do like some contrast, because the car in black can, it's a lot of black, and having the blades in carbon fiber does provide some contrast. I'll just add it here to show you. So if you look, and it doesn't do a great job there, but you can certainly wrap them with a high gloss carbon fiber aftermarket trim. They've gotten pretty good on that. And if I'm not happy with that, then I can always go out and buy them. But as I mentioned, I'm going to save the money on the build and have the option to do that later. I skipped the dynamic package. Overall, the only reason I would do it is to make the car more unique, but really everything in here, I'm not a fan of the stock wheels. To me, they look kind of just ho-hum, Audi OEM. The racing shell seats, they look awesome. They look fantastic, actually, but there's little to no adjustability. And like you see, no backrest, angle adjustment, power height adjustable. The R8's already a really tight cabin, and I'm 6'2", long arms, long legs, so I'm pretty tight already. So losing that just won't happen. And then the other thing is the ceramic brakes would be very cool, but I'm not tracking the car. So driving in the street, the standard brakes are sufficient for me. Definitely adding the red calipers provides that extra pop on the exterior. The premium package is already included. The main thing here, the headliner in Alcantara is a must-have on an R8. Really helps the interior feel more special. And the B&O sound system is actually pretty good. I've been happy with it on both of my R8s. Maybe not the most high-end or sophisticated, but certainly fine for my needs. I did add the carbon interior package. This is not something that I want to attack on my own. And since I'm in the car all the time, it's something you see the whole time you're driving, where some of the exterior bits, you don't see them as frequently. And there's a lot of bits that they put in here around the shifter, around the surround, around the digital drive and the dashboard, around the vents. And I've looked online, the cost and ability to do this afterthought or aftermarket is not something I want to mess with. The standard trim is not too bad, to be honest. However, it just kind of blends in and looks ho-hum. And for the money, I felt like it's something that I wanted to do. The laser lights, more of a nice to have, so skip that. Front sway bar, you know, when I was speccing this, I don't even remember that this was an option. Would I have added it or not? Honestly, I'm not sure. I may have actually considered it because I like performance options. However, you know, at this point, I would pass on it. Dynamic steering is definitely a pass. The artificial lightness in parking lot speeds, and just not a fan. I definitely want the more natural steering feel. In my 18 RWS, it did not have dynamic steering, and I was certainly happier. That's part of the reason of going with the RWD or rear drive in the first place, is to get the better steering feel in the car, more natural. Full leather is already added, and contrast is not needed because it is, I have the diamond stitch sheets. So, you know, I did add in, you see the MSRP of $146, the options, about $20,000, $21,000 or so with delivery. So it brings me to $167. So still about $35,000 to $40,000, about $40,000 price difference versus the performance. And for me, I felt like this is by far the better value for my needs. So I'm pretty excited about the build. I love the black exterior. The red interior will provide a really nice pop and contrast. The diamond seats make it feel more upscale with full leather. The sport exhaust package, as mentioned, gives some unique performance capabilities, unique only to this year. The red calipers provide the pop, sound system, and then the carbon interior package. So I picked up my allocation in July. I received notice that in September, my car is actually being built. So pretty excited about that. And it'll be a couple more months before I receive the car. I'll be posting some more videos. I have quite a few performance drives, as well as I'll be posting a video as I pick up. And as I mentioned, if I call it, you want to call it my aspirational R8, this is essentially the car that I'll be working towards. And so I've already ordered the rear spoiler. I have that coming in. I'll already have the blacked out exhaust tips. There is extra carbon fiber here since this is a performance. Would like to have that, but it's not something that's a must-have for me. The wheels are Brixton. I did order these already in a very similar color. It's the same wheel pattern in 20s in the front and 21s in the rear with Pilot Sport 4 tires. And then I'll consider adding, you know, front spoiler, maybe side skirts. I don't think this particular car has that. However, I may consider adding that just to make the car look a bit more aggressive. So I'm pretty excited about the look of this car. Appreciate whoever's photos these are. They actually found this car for sale on Auto Trader and said that's exactly the R8 that I want to have. So that's my video. This is what I'm working towards. Thanks for watching, and have some other cool videos with some exhaust sounds and content that hopefully you enjoy.